Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the 10th episode of Another Job Bites the Dust. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty chuffed. Basically, this week I'm talking to Mariusz Tobolski, who is where do we start? He is a traveling mathematician, musician, comedian. I thought, so when I met him, I was under the impression that he was based in Scotland. He's actually still based in Poland. He's Polish, but he travels all over the world with his job, and he also performs comedy, musical comedy on the side. So I thought, you know what? I'm mostly aiming this at immigrants, but I just thought I need to get his story. Someone like this is just too cool to miss out on. So it's gonna be, a slightly international, slightly Polish perspective on everything. We find out about how he ended up doing maths. He was in a rock band originally, so he's got a wild story. We talked about his work in the US. We talked about his comedy. We even talked about his days working as a telemarketer. There's so many things. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. I had loads of laughs. We even got into some of our shared experiences growing up, both of us in Eastern Europe. So enjoy it as much as we have. I hope you will. And as always, viewers' discretion is advised. We are having honest adult conversations. If you don't like something or something is uncomfortable for you, that's fair play. But I hope you enjoy it nonetheless.
All right. Well, hello, Mariusz, right? I'm gonna say that properly.
Yep.
Tobolski, right? Well, hang on, because you're a wild card in this interview series, because I thought you were working in Scotland, and then obviously you told me now you're in the US, but then I found out that you're actually just grabbing your ukulele, your comedy, and just going wherever you want for a while.
Well, yeah, basically that's the thing. We met in Scotland, right?
Yeah.
We met in Glasgow. That's probably where the misunderstanding comes from. But yeah, so I'm trying to do my thing wherever I can,
Right.
and that's not because I'm just some sort of a rich guy that can travel wherever I want, and then I do the ukulele. I travel professionally, so professionally I'm a mathematician. I have a PhD in mathematics.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is getting better and better.
Yeah, that's why I travel the world. I try to visit some places.
Where do you go back home? Where are you based?
Poland.
So you are based in Poland. Whereabouts in
yeah.
Poland? I don't need an address.
Wrocław.
I'm not, hold the fan mail, girls. I'm just saying,
Yeah, in Wrocław right now. So I was born near Warsaw, but now I'm in Wrocław.
All right, okay. So you're based in Poland, but you travel the world as a mathematician, aka probably a spy. You're not allowed to confirm that yet. And then you do comedy, which is like your cover story.
Yeah, I started not that long ago, like a year or so.
Okay.
And I started doing comedy in Wrocław because it turned out that, believe it or not, in Poland, there is an English comedy scene.
Right. So so you perform in English in Poland?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
right. Makes sense. I mean, yeah, there's an...
makes no sense at all.
It does make sense in a way, because like if there's an international group, they're more likely to, if there's an international audience, if there's students and stuff there, they're more likely to, want to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of students, and they're basically the audience, more or less. But there are also some other people from various countries that end up in Poland, and they live here. Some comedians, and of course, it's the open mic is hosted by an American guy.
All right, okay.
That's something.
Now, I used to work, that blew my mind. I used to work with a guy from Nigeria who studied in Poland, right? He was a chef, and then he spoke fluent Polish. And that was the first time I met someone, from like Nigeria speaking fluent Polish. I was like it took me like a good second. I was like, oh damn, okay. But that it took me like just me calculating, where I had Africa in my mind and where I had Poland in my mind. The guy was obviously fluent, which it makes sense. But we're just like, cool, okay.
I think videos of that guy were viral in Poland. So that's
really.
I think it just sounds like it. I think this chef guy who was just talking fluent Polish and he was Nigerian and everyone's like,
Okay, turns out there might be more than one Nigerian guy who's fluent in Polish, and he's also a chef. I mean,
well, sure, it might be. Of
I
course.
mean, listen. To be fair, the world's big enough; it allows for more than one person.
Well, sure, of
right.
course. Yeah, but so
I mean, I've got many questions already, but
there's a lot of there are also some people from Africa at our open mic scene.
yeah.
From Zimbabwe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people, and in the bigger cities in Poland, we have a lot of audience and like 2 open mics in Warsaw in English or something like that, and in Krakow as well, some various people. So there are also people, I think, from UK that just do tours in Poland, from stand-up comedy tours.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I know one Romanian guy, Victor Pătrășcan.
Exactly.
You know him, yeah?
Yeah. So he was doing like 2 tours already in Poland.
Yeah, he basically does. Yeah. He's just been touring Europe. He's sort of based in the UK, but he's been just touring Europe left and right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you know him as well?
Yes, I was at one of his shows.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Cool. We chat every now and again because like we're both from Romania. We're both in the UK, but he's been doing it a lot longer than I have, and he's obviously he's touring actively. And yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. Nice.
Yeah, he's selling out shows in Poland. I don't know, probably all over the world or
Europe. I've seen him like he's done Germany. I've seen him like he literally all over Europe where he can go, he'll go, and it's pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Right. So hang on. So I mean, I gotta ask. I don't even want to. Let's start with why comedy, and why the ukulele, and why music. Yeah. I mean, let's start with that.
Sure. So when I was in high school, I think I started listening to some actual music. It took me a while, just because
were you a numbers guy? Yeah.
What?
We're just so busy with numbers and the beauty of functions and.
Oh, that's a different story because I was not interested in math in high school at all.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to discuss that as well. Let's start with the comedy and the music, but we're gonna get into that as well.
So yes, in high school I started to first band was probably Nirvana or something like that.
Right.
And then I started to listen some bands like System of a Down was my first like band that blew my mind, and I was into rock and roll, into heavy metal, new metal, whatever. And nice. So I started a band with my colleagues.
As we all do. I was in a cover band, man, for like 3 gigs.
Okay. You were singing, or?
I was singing, yeah, in the last year of high school. Yeah, I did a couple of gigs.
Awesome. Oh, because I saw a clip of you singing on Instagram or somewhere.
Yeah, no, I did a cover of a song from Halo 2, I think. I just love that song. I was like, I'm gonna cover it. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So I was in a band, and we were doing some shows, but not that much. We were just kids, and we didn't know basicly how to do it. We just
big fan of Coma, yes or no?
Oh, big fan. Well, I was a big fan of Coma at that time.
There was a period. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
He's got the guy, and I mean, I discovered the guy because he did collab with Within Temptation. Piotr.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's yeah, he's got a great voice, and it really suits that song. And every night again, I put it on, and it's just and then after that, I just branched out. But anyway.
Yeah, but it's so the story of this guy. So probably no one listening to that except for us two will know this guy. The story of him that he started with doing this voice kind of Pearl Jam, like early Vedder stuff.
Yeah.
But still, he didn't have like a manner or something like that. But now he's doing this very strange kind of voice, especially in live performances. If you ever have a chance, just check out his live performances. He's doing this very strange manner that is just the
it's
voice.
Like a gimmick now.
Like, yeah, it's sort of. Also, you probably don't know it, but he started as an actor.
Yeah, I heard. So basically, one of my best friends, he's from Poland as well. I'm Hungarian. Fun fact. But he told me about like this guy. Apparently, he like there's been trouble in the band, and then he's going back to acting, and then he's doing music again and whatnot. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster, as rock and roll stars are known to be from time to time.
Sure. Yeah. So I was a big fan of that band when I was in high school, and a lot of other rock and roll bands. So I had my hair very long, basically, and headbanging at all the concerts, playing guitar and singing. So now I realize that the singing part was not very good at that time.
I mean, I've seen you doing comedy songs, so it's kind of hard to judge the quality of someone singing doing comedy songs, but the playing was good.
Okay.
So I can vouch for the playing of the ukulele.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks.
Hang on. So now you've embraced the geography teacher look. You're playing the ukulele. You've gone as far from rock and roll as you can.
Yeah. Now, well, sadly, the rock and roll is over in my life, basically. Oh. No, so that was the beginning of the story. Maybe I was going too far back, but so I did the ukulele. I did not the ukulele. I did the rock and roll, whatever, and I was really passionate about it, and I really loved it. But we didn't make it. Like most of the high school bands.
I mean, after once you get out of high school, that's when the real work begins, and then you need to have the right team. You need to be all motivated. There's a lot that goes into a successful band.
And also, everyone goes their separate. You go separate ways with your bandmates, which actually didn't happen for us. So the sad story of that band is that at some point in college, 3 of us were roommates,
right?
And we couldn't meet for a freaking rehearsal. So we couldn't adjust our schedules even when we were meeting, living together.
Right. I mean, in that case, so the other thing is like, not everybody like has to become a massive band. Like, it's okay to do music for fun and because you enjoy it, and then be like, okay, I'm gonna focus on something else. Like, I used to be one of those people that kind of thought, if you're gonna do like, there was an element of me that used to look down a little bit on people that gave it up, because I was like, oh, you just you didn't stick with it long enough. But now I'm like, okay, well, that was a big thing on my part, because you can do this for fun. You don't have to make it into your living. If you really enjoy it that much, or you feel the need to do it, then go for it. But there's nothing wrong with doing it for fun and having a couple of gigs or having a bunch of gigs. And after a while, I'll be like, okay, I want to do something else now.
Yeah.
It's a perfectly valid position. So no shame. Held high.
True, but it's hard for a person who loves to be a center of attention and wants to be a star. So I was devastated, of course.
Fair enough. So you were gonna be the breakout star. You were gonna break out of this boy band and form your own thing.
Yeah. But it's but that was a while ago. So that was one thing. And then I always wanted to do comedy, and I knew I was had so many inspirations and so many great comics that I looked up for, and but it somehow never happened. I know that I was just too shy, or I didn't believe in myself. I don't know. But when I was in college and then afterwards, I always had this thought in the back of my mind that I should go on an open mic or whatever. Yeah. And Polish stand-up scene is pretty. It's kind of young. It's not that people started it 20 years ago. I think it has more like 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, the situation is similar in Romania. That it's been going sort of on the ground for like, again, at least 20 years, I think, because I know some of the comedians started back in like the early 2000s, but it's only now when you've got, like, I know in high school we went to like a stand-up comedy gig, but even that still felt a bit underground. It's only now you got like big stars and they release stuff, they'll put a special on YouTube and they'll do their own stuff and you buy tickets and, it goes crazy.
Yes, it's similar in Poland, and no one was interested in stand up when I was in high school, basically, because we had this thing. I know if you, Romania also had this like sketch comedy, like a guy would dress up as a woman and that would be all great and
Yeah,
funny.
that would be the jokes. Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a bunch of like after the fall of communism, there was a bunch of massive sort of sketch comedy groups on TV.
Mm. So I actually I did some sketch comedy in high school. I had this group, but so basically my idea was I would ask them to dress up as whatever.
Yeah.
That would be the joke and the fun part, and I will be the only one not dressed up.
Oh, so
Okay.
you're playing as this. You were the straight guy of the piece. You were the guy that's like.
Yeah, I would be
bring
just
in
like
normal
hosting it. I would just do like a little stand up at the beginning, and then there would be sketches, and I would somehow manage to get like a character that does not do dress up and and everything was based on this one guy that was just hilarious. Just you can just look at him and that was just funny. He would put on some funny glasses and that was it. Basically the whole audience would go crazy.
Right, okay. I mean, listen, you got to start somewhere. We all do, man. We all, you don't want to see some of my early work, trust me.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
so yeah.
I started in high school. We did the same thing. We did that. Used to have like presentations for like literature class. Or it was language class, but we were studying different, like different stories and whatnot. And we'd have like group projects. And somehow, whenever I was in a group, it always ended up being some sort of theater piece. We're all wearing costume and all doing some sort of character monologue and whatnot. So that's what we did. At one point, I know I did a thing where I impersonated my teachers. I did an impression of.
That's nice. That's nice.
And we had a teacher that taught us logics, and he did also did philosophy, and also I think he did. It was philosophy, logics, and there was something else he taught us as well. I think it might have been like civic cultures, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to like squint a lot, and he was a madman who became like a teacher. So that was one of my one of my most popular impressions of just me standing there going, "We're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that." So yeah, it just started in high school, and then it just kind of realized I want to do that more, and here we are.
Well, so another not a very successful story of mine was that I wanted to be an actor.
Right.
Okay, that was the first thing. I liked comedy, but I really my dream was to become an actor. But I never even went for the auditions or whatever it's called.
There's a little fault in your plan there, I think. If you want to do the acting but you don't go for the audition, that's a bit tough.
Oh yeah, that was probably the tough part. Yeah. Yeah, so I did some kind of acting workshops and
right?
stuff like that. So yeah, so I bought some books on drama and theater and stuff. So but I had at the end of high school, I had like a very tough period. All my exams were not very good. Like I couldn't get into any college.
Right.
And then I decided I'll not even try this acting because I don't know. I probably
you off.
I was kind of also. So I heard those stories that to get into acting you have to have if your father has to be an actor or whatever. I was still a kid. You know better than.
I mean, listen. I'm from Eastern Europe, and there's we have some overlaps. There's definitely stories like that. Like if you have a parent in the industry, it will open doors that other people, you have to literally, kick and claw and bite and everything to get there, and that's fair play. But it is absolutely doable. You're not tied to it. But I can see how when you're already sort of struggling with your motivation and you're already pissed off about something, the last thing you need is another dose of it's not really for you. I can see how that would rock anyone in that scenario.
Yeah, so I didn't even try it. But some good news, maybe. So yeah, but that's maybe off topic because that's more of a like my story. But this comedy, it comes from like two things.
No, this is all relevant to your journey as a performer.
Oh, okay.
So rock star, actor, comedian. What else do you know, sir?
Yeah, but I failed at all of those almost. But
And listen, that's a good place to start.
yeah, so let's say so. Okay, let me go through the story. This would be like a motivational part of this.
Hang on, I'm just gonna put some music on, so we're gonna record it.
Yeah, you should put some music on.
Hans Zimmer time. Let's go.
Yes, there was this part in my life that I would just those. I didn't get to this acting. I didn't get to any college whatsoever. Only something like English linguistics or whatever at some smaller city in Poland. I got this letter that you can go to kind of like a weekend college, but you have to pay for it. But it's and it was called finance and accounting. I was like, okay, finance. That means money. I need money, right? And so I went to that. I started finance and accounting, and I have a bachelor in finance and accounting. That's what I started with, and that was I don't kind of remember. It was a strange period in my life because when I was doing this finance and accounting or whatever. I was looking for a job because it was a weekend college, so I had to have a job during the week. So I found this job as a financial advisor. That was the name. You always in corporate, you have those very nice names for
yeah, I mean,
jobs.
Yes, that's the corporate lingo is always like a layer of bullshit just smeared on top of whatever you do. You know, like when you write your CV as a waiter, you know, what were your responsibilities? And I was responsible for meeting targets and sales, and I was facilitating customer engagement and satisfaction. Like you were putting the plate on the table, but okay, cool.
And so, but that was basically, just door-to-door selling. It was called financial advice. I was just going, just calling my friends and any people that I know from my family or whatever. I was just calling them, going to their houses and trying to sell them some insurance products.
Okay, so I was gonna say, was this financial advisoring for fucking Avon or something?
Yeah, could you imagine me as being Avon consultant? That would be awesome.
Nah, listen, one of my first jobs, my second job in the UK was business to business promoting as well.
Oh,
so, okay. Yes, the struggle was real.
When I was doing that for some time, I was not very good at it. Basically, I was there for some months only because I had this kind of a rich uncle who bought something. Okay. And they say, okay, so you're good. You're good at it because you could bring us some money, because that was basically a pyramid scheme, like a pyramid scheme. So they were all just when they hire you, they earn money just by hiring you, and they can get some money from your family.
Yes, if you get somebody else into the thing, then you get. Yeah, that's a good old-fashioned pyramid scheme. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was that. So, and that was really hard for me, and at some point depressing, and I couldn't. I went from this door to door. I actually upgraded to just being in an office, sitting in an office, and then people come and I was trying to sell them the same things. At a different company, but that was really. Those products, they were not very good for anyone.
It's always weird. I remember one of my interviews, I went in for this, it was some sort of office job. I went in and I just had this feeling and the whole office is just bullshit. It just felt fake. The whole thing just felt so fake. Like there was like targets written on the board, and there's people, you know, taking calls and keeping busy. But it just felt so. I don't know. I don't know if it could be a real thing. I'm not sure, but it just felt like I never got the job. But there was
Oh
just
yeah,
something
yeah.
about it that
It
just
was
felt. I
it was
don't know.
probably something like what I did.
Yeah.
In that company that I worked, they even had like their own, you know, slang or whatever. They would say juice or something great. Like that was a acronym for join us in creative excitement. And they would say like, that's too much for you. Okay.
No. It's just corporations should not be allowed to make up their own words because they're so cringy. No.
Yeah. Yeah. And they would they would come up to you, you would do something great. They was like juice. Because that's a thing apparently.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah. So it's really cringy when I think about it. But you know,
But you have to do it at that time. You have to do it.
I had to do it. So I
don't
had
have
to make
options.
money somehow. Yeah, I didn't have many options. That's true. And also, they you know, I was very young, and they brainwash you, and you suddenly you think like, oh, okay, that's really great. They drive those very expensive cars, and they're, you know, they successful.
Yeah. So they give
Maybe
you the
I can be
whole.
successul.
Yeah.
Maybe I can have this car or whatever. Yeah, but actually, at the interview, when they asked me what kind of a car I wanted to have, like, because that was their thing. They wanted to catch something, because
Right.
they would say, okay, you want this car, so you have to work more. So they asked me about the car, and I was like, Batmobile. That would be the car for me.
They were like, oh, here comes the nerd brigade.
Yeah.
Oh man, God, yeah, I forgot about that part of my, you know, my early immigrant life was me trying to find a job that was either, you know, pay me proper money and also be fully legal, you know, like that. Those are the two things. The first, yeah.
Fully legal.
Yeah, no, because, you know, you get, you know, those early jobs, you take what you can, they'll give you. And like, not just to me, but it happened to my dad, you know, like he came here, he didn't even speak English properly a year before I did. And he got this job in a restaurant, you know, cleaning. And at the end of the week, they would give him like 70, 80 quid. And he's like, excuse me, what's happening here? He's like, well, you know, cash in hand. And he's like, no, I want an actual fucking paying job, please. Thank you very much. And, you know, so there's definitely people that'll take advantage of the desperation and the lack of experience. So, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So okay, to end this motivational part is that, so I was not very happy with my life, just looking at the mirror and looking at this guy who's selling
all juiced out.
Yeah, just I was juiced out. That's well said. Yeah, and so, you know, I was just selling. There was this one pregnant woman, and I sold her like some, I know, like a mortgage or whatever, and some insurance product, and she was really happy with it, and she was very friendly with me, but I knew that was not good, like that was not, that in a few years she will realize that was a mistake, you know, that was not a good product, and I just, you know, would not. It was hard to sleep. It was hard to do anything hard. And yeah, I was kind of depressed.
The guilt, I think, the guilt and the shame would kick in. Yeah, I think.
I didn't know it at the time, but now people are much more, you know, conscious about depression and stuff like that. So I was surely depressed at that time, and I decided to change my life and go into something else. And I was watching some, like, a very sketchy and some charlatans on YouTube talking about world and consciousness and drugs, obviously, and things like that. And I was just looking at them. I was like, wow, this is just so interesting. And I was, all those conspiracy theories, I was just like a sponge having all that.
Yeah, that's what a young guy needs who's fed up with life, and his job is just to fall into a conspiracy loophole or just a rabbit hole, and then down you go.
But you know, so fortunately, I was listening to those guys, of course, fascinated by those ideas that they have, like Terence McKenna, maybe you know this guy, or some other people like this.
I have
And
heard
so,
that name. I have
yeah,
heard
yeah,
that
it's
name.
it's just complete bullshit. And but I was fortunately I was just like, okay, those guys are saying a lot of stuff. How can I just check this? How can I somehow
Verify, yeah.
verify if that's true? And because all of them, they were talking about quantum physics and I don't know, Einstein theory of relativity, because that's the basic thing. Because most of people don't know this, so
Yeah,
they can
you can make
just.
it's perfect for woo-woo. Quantum physics is perfect for woo-woo because you don't understand it fully. I don't understand it fully. The fuck, I barely understand. Not fully, barely. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a physician. So like, I don't understand the word quantum. Maybe I'm not even sure about that. Physics, I understand. You know. So
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
make up anything, and as long as you mention an Einstein on anything, it'll be it'll keep going. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we have like a time.
Yeah. That's okay. After the 10 minutes, we just restart it. We get another.
Sure. Oh, okay.
I've never done this on Zoom before, so that's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, so I was looking at some very crazy stuff, like things that that there's this kind of a oneness and one consciousness.
Yes.
That goes
We
through
all
us
one.
all. Yeah, we're all one. But you can also, there's some kind of like an uplink, like a field that you can connect with when you do.
Yeah,
when you
I
do, let's
recognize some
say,
of this. Yeah, I recognize some of this.
and you can connect with it when you do, let's say, drugs.
Now, obviously.
And you can connect with it when you do art.
Right.
Right. You have this kind of your muse, that comes it all comes from this kind of a thing. And so I was listening to that and I thought, well, that's all really interesting, but how can I verify this? Of course, after being like a hippie for 3 or 4 months without a job. So I quit my job. I couldn't. And then I was like, just a very happy guy with no job. I had some savings, but not too much. So of course, I guess for at least a month, I went back to my parents' house. So, and I was just going into woods, just living with
You were
connecting to nature.
you were basically the main character of any white woman finds herself film that you can see on.
Exactly.
You will live, laugh, loving yourself through this personal crisis, which is, what? Sometimes that's what you need. If you need to run naked through a forest, sometimes that's what you need.
Sometimes that's what you need. Yeah.
And that is, listen.
But I was a really annoying person for everyone because there was not a one thing that could make me angry. I was not stressed about anything. I was just, just being like you did you see this movie Big Lebowski?
Big Lebowski. Oh, you were
Big Lebowski. Yeah. That's the great pronunciation. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So the Big
slippers,
Lebowski.
bathrobe.
That was me. Just like hanging there, just like that's just your opinion, man, and stuff like that.
Fair enough. So hang on. So in this massive haze of quantum physics and finding yourself, you picked up the ukulele. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I picked it as no that's still not. We're not still not there, but we're almost there.
Okay.
Almost there. But to end this kind of, so I took
Let's
this 4 months.
motivate the people.
Yeah. I took this 4 months to think about my life. I think people do this now. Like when you end college, you have like a gap year, or after high school. I think it's more like high school. You finish high school, you do a gap year, so you think about what you want to do in your life. So I had my gap 4 months, and after that, I decided, okay, I'll try physics, this quantum physics that they talk about. I'll just do that. And so I had to do my exams again because I was in humanities. I didn't want to do anything with math or physics in high school, so I took the exams.
And you prepared for them.
I prepared for them myself. Just as maybe I once met with a friend of mine. She was very good at math and physics. So I met with her. She prepared me a little bit, but that was basically it. I did the exams. The results were not so good, as you can imagine.
But they got you in.
But they got me in. Because somehow to get to physics, like it's not a very popular major, let's say.
No, I remember, I don't know, it's just the way they presented it to us or something, but I remember finding it a bit dry for me. Like,
oh, is it like the subject?
Yeah, back in high school. Maybe it's just because I added an extra element of challenge to my life by deciding to study in Romanian the last 4 years of my, so high school I did in Romanian, the first 8 years, that's primary and secondary in Romania, I did in Hungarian. So, I was pretty good with maths in Hungarian because, the numbers and stuff, I could count fairly quickly. But when it was in Romanian and I had to do it out loud in front of a class, it was like, okay, I'm just going to do it in Hungarian in my head and then say it in Romanian, whatever I can. So and then, some of the terms that just weren't there for me. So I definitely struggled a bit more. I still managed to learn a fair bit, but I remember thinking physics is a bit too dry for me. I don't know. I need something, not just the numbers. I needed something else. Maybe just the way they taught it to us. It could be that as well. But I did appreciate the challenge and the puzzle aspect of it, and the forces.
Yeah, I completely understand this because for me it was just the same. Like in high school, I had this teacher that he was not really passionate about anything in his life. He was this guy who would just spill water all over the place doing some experiment, and he would like, don't worry about it, it will evaporate.
So, I love it, man. I love it. Oh, good. Yes. Nothing like a shitty teacher in high school. Just they're special, man. I love it. You remember the really good ones, and you remember the really bad ones.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I didn't have also maths. That was for me. That was something that was not very hard to do, but not very exciting. And then I know how it is in UK, but I know that in US, in college, math is also not very exciting till some level, because if it just some calculations that you do and you have to memorize some formulas and that's it, that's not very interesting, let's say. So by the higher math, it's more like philosophy, more like kind of art. Like there's this guy, Nobel Prize winner, Roger Penrose.
Yes.
Yeah, who said that doing mathematics, like higher mathematics, and writing a novel is similar. Okay, so and that's interesting because so what you do when you write a novel, you create a background, right, where the story will take place.
Yeah, I'm writing a play at the moment, so keep talking.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And you have your characters, right? And if they're like very well built characters, they cannot do things that will not suit them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like they have. Yeah, you're imagining people. They have their own personalities, and you have to respect
so
that.
all of a sudden you have some bounds. You cannot do anything with those characters. We can only do certain things, and you have this background, and things can fit. You can think of some solutions so you can have some situation for your character that he's in, and then you have to find a solution. But the solution cannot be just anything because you have all those bounds, because all those different characters have different behaviors, and there's the background, and it has to make sense. And that's basically doing higher math. That's basically what it is. You just have an abstract objects, and they characterized by something, and then you want to just solve some problem, but all of them, they have some characteristics.
Yeah.
So that's basically and then it becomes much more interesting. Of course, it's very abstract. So when you do novel, you can talk about real people. You can also talk about some not very real people, but
that's a fair point. It is. Some point there's become some overlap because we all we're still talking about life and things that happen. And, you know, if you take mathematics, it kind of, it's part of everything, sort of. So
Yeah.
there's going to be parallels. I even like, as a musician, you definitely know about mathematics because there's a whole branch.
Yeah. That's one of the one of the most beautiful things that you discover, right? When you talk about harmonies, like ancient Greeks, they were just looking at the string and they said, okay, so what happens if I just take a half of it, and what's the sound? And then they again take a half of it, and what's the sound? And then all of a sudden you can use mathematics to write music or to do harmonies and stuff like that.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, there's a very fascinating overlap there. It's like the...
Sure. We have like less than a minute.
Yeah. So it's probably gonna stop and then we're gonna start again, and that'll be that.
Sure. Yeah.
Again, it's the first one I'm doing on Zoom, so I'm learning how to use it.
Yeah, no problem. I see you're doing great.
Oh, thank you. Record. And we're back in. Right, so that was me working out the kinks of Zooming for free.
Yeah.
Right, we were at your story about we were talking about you going to uni doing physics. So you finally decided to do physics.
Yeah. I realized and during the break that's basically that was so far a very therapeutic experience for me.
Oh,
talking about things like that. It was supposed to be about something else, like this meeting, but okay. So
guys,
anyway,
I mean, listen, this is about your life story.
Yeah,
But so you just went down, you know, the acting, the music at that stage didn't work out. You went and got lost in the capitalist world, and then finally found yourself naked in the forest, and then you ended up doing quantum physics, or just physics, or just all the physics.
Well,
you finished physics.
I have a bachelor in physics.
Right.
But so when I was doing physics, so first of all, I was from that time, I was very happy with my life. So I was
right.
I thought I kind of felt that this is it. This is all very nice, and I would like to do this maybe in my life, professional life, or whatever.
All right.
But it was very challenging because, as I told you, I was self-taught. I knew nothing, and my first days at my first classes, they were just terrifying. I knew I was so far back than anyone else that I had to work much more. I was basically every day at the uni, like harassing any of my colleagues who I knew know much more than I. And I was just talking with them constantly, almost every day, staying after classes till evenings. There were some rooms for students that you could just hang out, and then I was basically doing that most of the time, so I can pass the first semester. So I was. So the motivational part, I forgot the punchline. The punchline is that, so I had basically, you did a great recap. I had some dreams. I wanted to do this acting, maybe music, maybe something. None of it worked out. And also, and I got to this very strange corporate world and it's financial advising, whatever. And that was really bad for my mental health. But in the end, I took a break. I thought about what I want to do with my life, and finally I found it. So that's the moral and the.
And not only that, you train yourself to become a physician. Like when people think self-trained, they'll think music. They'll think there's a bunch of stuff people think are self-trained. Nobody thinks physics. Like okay, maybe if you're gonna be a surgeon, don't self-trained is not the way to go. Like there's a limit. But nobody thinks, like the hard sciences, I was self-trained mathematician or physician. Nobody thinks that.
Yeah, sure. But I was the things that I could do on my own. That was very limited. As I told you, that was my exam was not very good. It got me into physics, but afterwards, with a lot of hard work, I was able to catch up with my colleagues and do that. And after that, so I did physics. I switched into math because it turns out I was much more into math. I was better at math than that physics. But while I was learning physics, I could finally verify all those claims by those charlatans from YouTube. And guess what? They're all
They're bullshit? Oh my God. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Yeah. So I will give you just one example. So there's this kind of a thing in quantum physics.
Quantum entanglement? Are you about to hit me with quantum entanglement?
No. A different thing. There was this experiment that they did with electrons and like a double slit. So if you have just one slit and you put like a beam of electrons, and you think of electrons as just balls, and you have the slit and you have some kind of a monitor.
Okay,
sheet. That will just detect where the electron landed, right? There's some, of course, there has to be prepared in a nice way, but that's the gist of it. So just shoot electrons through one slit, and all you get is just like you would throw balls through this slit. You just get just one line, right? When the slit was, the balls were. But if you do two, all of a sudden you have like an interference pattern, like a wave, like something like a wave would do. So a lot of them, and you think like, well, I was just shooting electrons at two slits. How can I get this kind of a behavior, right? And that's basically one of the things about quantum physics, that the electrons, you cannot think of them only as just balls and particles. You have this wave-particle duality. That's the nice name. Right. So sometimes they behave like waves, sometimes they behave like particles. Yeah. So you cannot say that electron is just like a ping pong ball or tennis ball, or that it is a wave. Electron is an electron, and we can sometimes understand it as a ball.
It's
sometimes
complex. We get into the personality of an electron, right?
Exactly.
It's complicated, It's moody. It's temperamental.
Yeah, electrifying. sorry for that. So you have this experiment, but when and that's how they talk those now, that you hear those charlatans talking about this experiment, and they say, but when you put an observer, so you look through which slit the electron goes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the electron is like, okay, you're watching me, so now I'll behave like a ball again.
Yeah, so there's the whole thing of it depends if you're observing it changes its behavior.
But they're selling it like, if I don't look behind me, does this exist? Like, do you have those pictures?
I think that's called object permanence. I think.
Yeah. So that's how they're selling it, and it's much easier than that, because so what is an observer in quantum physics or in anything? Like, you have to look, right? And the light, you have to have light, and light is made up of photons, and photon is a different kind of a particle. So what you're doing when you want to observe through which slit electron goes, you just shoot it with a photon. So then it changes behavior. Wow. Okay, because there was an interaction with something else, and that's the only thing that happens. Because it's not that this is not philosophical at all. It's not like when I observe the electron, it behaves this way. If I don't observe
it, when I observe it, there's photons, there's light.
Yeah, observing is just you shoot light so you can see where it is, and then that's the big mystery solved.
Well, that's good thing I didn't get lost in that fucking rabbit hole on YouTube. Right. Now, let's steer this ship back towards the ukulele.
Yeah.
So so you're doing this and you're happy and you're content,
Yep.
You're shooting light at electrons, just playing with your ping pong balls.
Oh yeah, so I was very bad at experiments. I almost lost my sight during one, because in physics laboratories you sometimes have to deal with lasers, and one of the experiments was that I had like a box with ions in it, and you had to shoot the laser. There was like a small hole at the bottom and on the top, and you had to shoot the lasers so it goes through it, right? And I was like, is it already here? I was like trying to watch it, so I almost lost my sight. But it's just, because if I was trying to, just look at it, is it already there? Did I do it right?
But
that was very stupid.
You could have had a story there. You could have been a one-eyed physician with an eye patch going, how did you lose your sight? Well, let me tell you a story, kids. There was a laser.
Yeah, well,
# don't try this at home.
Yeah, don't do it. And just don't skip the preparatory lectures about labs and how to just
That was
deal with lasers. Yeah.
that was the home trained, south trained physician kicking in. I was just looking at it.
Yeah. Well, but yes, I was not very good at experiments. That way, I went into math. I did my PhD
Right.
in mathematics, and I was, as I told you, I was really happy. But there was something lacking.
You could feel that inner voice.
Yeah, there was something. So I would do talks, like mathematical talks, all over the world. Well, in the US, in Europe, that's basically in few places in the US, I think in 16 or something countries.
Right, you've been to 16 countries.
Is that true? No, maybe not. But in 16 different institutes or universities.
Right.
I gave talks, but I think for 3 or 4 in the US and in Europe, in a few places, in Germany and France, in Spain, some nice places.
And have you tried Denmark. To stand up in every single one of them?
Yeah, I would always squeeze like a joke or two, but but the audience at math talks is tough.
Yes, I can imagine how. Yeah.
And they're not expecting jokes.
That's the thing. Some of it's expectation. Yeah.
They're expecting just some serious. Yeah, so because I was trying to do this, some professors, they would like be very almost offended. Like, I'm not.
How dare you? Put your penis away, sir.
Yeah. So there would be times that they would be like, he's not taking it serious, and math is very serious. And some people, let me tell you, some people are taking physics and math too serious.
Like well, some professors. The same. I'm guessing there's art wangs, there's gonna be math wangs as well, you know?
Yeah.
It's just
they
go up their own ass a little bit too much.
Yeah, exactly. And you cannot make silly jokes about their field of expertise.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So yeah, so I was trying that, and I was doing talks, but it's it's so different, and I wanted to do something more creative on the art side, like do anything connected with. So I started. I was in Wrocław. I got my first after PhD. I got my first job in Wrocław, and I found this on Facebook or whatever. There are some open mics, and there's a very nice group. And there are two groups. One is called Worldwide Comedy, which is in Poland, and the other one.
I'm guessing worldwide comedy just means like it's a very small world because you can't get everyone. But
but it's we got people from all over the world.
Okay.
So that's because now Poland is getting more and more attractive, I guess.
It is not in Romania, like it's happening in Romania as well. Like I've seen students from the Middle East coming, obviously the students coming from Africa as well. Like it's becoming a viable option, and obviously there's actually pretty good education for like something like medicine. It's actually pretty good. We might not have some of the same technology, but famously dentistry back home in like Hungary, Romania, Poland is actually better than in the UK.
Oh.
So yeah, it's definitely becoming a viable option, and it's becoming an international market. And it's kind of cool to see that the world's becoming more mixed.
Yeah, it's great because so far you probably have the similar experience. So far you only heard about people going out, like going to other countries, going to UK, going to Germany, or whatever. Norway. That's also.
But then you got the fascinating experience of these very homogenized and somewhat rigid. Well, they're not rigid. They're just used to being, Poland's Polish, Romania's, well, not only Romania. You still have, different ethnicities, but they're used to what they have regionally. And then you've got international students coming in, and people kind of go, is that like, where are you from? Who are you? What do you want? There is a bit of that. and we have
Yeah,
seen
there
it.
is. Well, that's the whole thing. I know some usually sometimes when I talk to people in the U.S., especially at colleges in the U.S. Right now I'm in the U.S. in Buffalo, or in Cheektowaga, which is a town near Buffalo.
Right.
So there's a Native American name. There's a lot of Native American names in the U.S. Not a lot of Native Americans, but
Yeah.
what can you say?
Well, that's you got a couple of centuries of history there.
That's true. So you in colleges in the U.S., people are very woke. That's the thing, very left wing. Everyone is like that, and when they hear about Poland, that it's just very homogenous. Nothing. You only have Polish people. Everyone is white. They're or Caucasian. That would be the better way to put it. And
I mean, yeah,
they are very.
Once you get into this, like, there's so many reasons for it. Like, I can speak for Romania, but this was a country that people could not leave or really visit for like the past, well, not for the past 50 years, because we broke out of it 30 years ago, but the 50 years before it, like, it was locked down, more or less.
Yeah.
So obviously that's going to happen.
Sure. And they talk about racism.
I mean,
Poland.
we can talk about it. It exists.
Yeah, it exists.
It's somewhat different. Eastern European racism is somewhat different to Western European racism. It's still racism, but it has different underpinnings, and it is kind of oddly fascinating to see.
Yeah. Because as you said, that just people, at least in Poland, they're not used to anyone from outside. They're just like,
no.
Who are you? What's that? And let's say in the US and the UK, what they're trying to build is like a multicultural society, which is, I think, very hard. They're doing it. They're doing all right, but it's you're mixing a lot of different cultures. You're mixing a lot of different nationalities, and everyone has their own beliefs, and everyone has their own.
And you got the identity element of it. Is like people, people involve invest a part of themselves into their identity, and that becomes it's an emotional thing that it becomes uncomfortable to it feels like you're giving up something, even though you're gaining something. Like, I've been quite fortunate. I grew up in a household that wasn't big on national identity. They were Jehovah's Witnesses. That's why. So they were, I was a human first before I was anything else. And I've kind of embraced that. And I'm not a Jehovah's Witness anymore, but I embraced that element of like, if I want to be, belong anywhere, I belong to the human family first and foremost, and anything else, that's just luck. That's just the lottery of where you're born and who your parents are. But
exactly.
So I've been fortunate that way. But yeah, there's definitely an element of people kind of, once you grew up in an environment and part of a group, and that becomes, it gives meaning to your life in a way, your traditions and things like this. It can feel like you're giving up something. It becomes uncomfortable. You don't want to give that up, and that's where, unless you realize that there's a bigger world out there, and you got something else to belong to, and you can make that transition. But that's where the ugliness can come out quite often, unfortunately.
Yeah. So what were we talking about?
Well, you're talking about colleges in the U.S. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. That's a lot of that.
Being from
woke.
Eastern Europe.
Yeah, and it's so sometimes it didn't happen to me. It happened to my colleague, but it just, there are so many differences. Like in Poland, we're taught that you should open the door for a lady, just like hold the door. That's something. It's I when I was in high school or whatever, for most of my life probably, I was not even thinking about it as being like demeaning or whatever. Just like, but it can be. Some people can be offended by that, and that happened to my colleague that. He was holding a door in the college, probably in somewhere in California, for a lady, and she was like, "I don't need your Eastern European manners."
Wow. Okay. Well, this is interesting because like, if she's trying to be open-minded and respectful to all sorts of cultures, which they say we're trying to respect, then you're gonna not respect that part of the Eastern European culture, or just that part of the Polish culture. Now you can't. The thing with cultures, not everything's good about them. There's I come from Romania. I know we have serious problems in certain aspects, But at the same time, it's kind of interesting that she phrased it that way. I was like, I don't need your Eastern European culture. But you're like, hang on, but you're trying to be open-minded and respectful, and you know, that's an interesting thing to see, I think.
Yeah, well, that's just going the extreme, just like any extreme, even if you're like, very left wing, trying to be open-minded, and you go to the extreme,
There's,
not,
I mean, yeah, I don't think we're
good.
I don't think it's controversial to say that any movement will have extremes, and any movement, like not everything that's done in the name of progress and good is, like you can go about it in the wrong way, and I think that's.
Yeah. When I was talking about it to a mathematician, he said, you have to go to right and you go to left, but if you go to the extreme, it's a circle.
Yes, it is.
At the extreme, they're the same. But and some people, I think some people in the West, they don't kind of have that in mind because they don't know much about communism. Like in the Eastern Europe, we had it, right? Poland, Romania,
Hungary, Slovakia,
whatever.
Bulgaria,
So there's the whole region
Eastern Bloc. Yes, we've tried it. And the funny thing is, we all had different versions of it as well. It wasn't the same communism, even though we all reported back to the same center, as it were. But we all had our own, flavor of it. We had Ceausescu. Who's it? I remember as a Tito the guy was, or something like that. I don't want to get his name wrong, but yeah, Bulgaria had another version of it, and then Hungary was famously a bit more liberal, a bit more open, like economically even. Like a lot of people from Romania tried to sneak into Hungary because life was better there, even during communism. It seemed that way. So yeah, it's not like, oh, you tried one, because that's the one argument I hear sometimes. Like, yeah, but the communism you tried wasn't the real communism. I hear that.
Let's give it one more time. Yeah, one more try. Right?
Yeah, but it wasn't just us. It was literally an entire region with different versions of it.
And then you also can look at South America.
Yeah, they also tried their own version of it.
A different version didn't work out.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of life by committee. I'm not sure that. And the thing is, capitalism does have problems. I'm not going to be like, it's not far from perfect, and it has its extremes, absolutely. But when people sort of blindly embrace communism or just start touting like this is who we are and I'm like,
oh, actually no, this is this kind of a strange experience I had in Barcelona, or Barcelona as the natives call it.
Barcelona, see.
Yeah, and then I saw at the University of Barcelona, I saw a lot of those communist symbols, because Catalonia, they want to be just a separate country. They want to get out of Spain. They have their own.
That's again a sense of identity, a sense of self.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. So and they want to do it by revolution, of course. Like of course I'm talking about young people at the university. Right, and there's a lot of like meetings like that, and they will wave flags, and that will be communist symbols, like.
Yeah,
Which for me it was really strange.
Yeah, because if you go to the right Eastern European country, communist symbols can be symbols of death. If you ask,
from what I heard, so it's in Poland. It was tough in Poland, but I know that in Romania, there was like.
Romania was a very specific animal, yeah.
At the end, the thing that happened, I only learned it. By the way, because I was also ignorant about the history of Romania, but I was told some things about communism in Romania by a guy who I'm visiting here in the US. So there's a lot of Romanian mathematicians.
Oh yeah, we go all over
the West. Yeah,
we go all over the place.
So my collaborator here is Romanian. Fun fact.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, to give people a sort of a very short and succinct understanding of how much people, how they felt about communism in Romania, the guy Ceausescu was shot, publicly executed. So Make up your own mind about that.
Yeah, so that was, I didn't want to say it.
That's no, Ceausescu was
the
executed, publicly executed in December 89.
Yeah. Yeah.
Draw your own conclusions.
And there is, I know there is a video of it on YouTube. It might be.
I'm pretty sure there's a video of it. Yeah.
There might be a video. So check it out.
Yeah, maybe don't do that unless you're actually like historically curious. That you can see.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yes, ukulele. We're trying to get back to the ukulele.
Yeah, I'm just.
No, so no, hang on. So I'm getting the idea. What happened was obviously you've embraced, the academia life.
Mm-hmm.
Went all in, but you felt that you needed something to express yourself in a different environment.
Yeah.
So just like Einstein with his violin, you found the ukulele and you found comedy.
Yeah, well, that's basically what about it. And I started without it. I started just doing stand-up comedy, and well, I had ups and downs, like everyone who tries it, but it didn't feel right. So I was doing it, and I was trying to, but I know, so there are some things that I think that I'm lacking to. I could probably like try out different things, and I did some good routines, some good kind of shows or open mics without the ukulele, but it just, when I did the first thing with the ukulele, it was just a totally different experience and totally different reaction as well. So that's why I'm sticking with it, and in the end I'm really happy because it just combines the two things that I really love. So both music and comedy, and well, maybe it's.
So if you could do this in a movie, if you could do this in a movie, being a musician, comedian, and an actor, I think you'd reach a new high.
No, maybe, probably. Yeah.
Just do the Eastern European version of the Joker. He's trying to be a musician comic. That could work.
Maybe.
Oh, just throwing some thoughts at you. Okay. And
yes, that's basically it.
Nice. I mean, it all makes sense. So you've been traveling the world. You said you've been to Spain, France, Germany, the US. So you've been popping up, you've been to Scotland. Obviously, I met you in Scotland. Mm-hmm. So you've been popping up left and right. How are you finding? Are you experiencing anything like an international audience, or you must have a pretty good view of?
Oh, so that's one thing that most of my travels I was not doing comedy
right
at all, because I started that only recently. So when I was in, let's say when I was in Japan, I didn't do any comedy there. That would be fun, but I didn't. Unfortunately, maybe I will.
Also went to Japan. Fuck, you just dropped that on me like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's what is nice about academia is that traveling is really an option, especially in math, because you cannot do experiments in math. You cannot do. You cannot, if you want to have any funding. So what for pencils and paper? So that they are maybe better computers, but that's mostly for people doing, let's say, computing science or machine learning or whatever. So when the only thing you can actually do.
Yeah, I mean, it got cut off there for a second, but I think we're okay.
Okay. So yeah, we're good. So the only thing that you can do is to meet with other people, basically, and that's your kind of experiment. You just say your thoughts, your theories or whatever, and you speak to other mathematicians and people who think in the same way, more or less, and then
they'll verify your calculations.
How you do it. So so you can do a lot of traveling, and only recently I started to also do, just in my free time, some comedy and stuff like that. So I did something in Scotland, and that was fun, and that's where I met you.
So hang on, so the gig in Scotland, was that the first one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Was that
I
your
think
first
so.
gig? Was I at your first gig?
Oh, not ever. Oh no,
Okay.
not ever. Because so I said I started without the ukulele, and then I did the ukulele.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that was my first gig abroad. Okay, so I didn't know what to expect, and there was no, not even that. So that was the second, because I also did this other open mic in Glasgow, and that was basically. You might know the guy Nico.
Yes. You did
Yes.
salsa.
Yes, I did salsa.
And Nico's 2 episodes before you.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did.
Now go ahead. Just I realized the timer
Yes,
came up again. That it's gonna,
Yeah.
using the free Zoom.
Yes, my life story was taken a lot of time.
That's good. That's okay, because now normally we kind of got, an insight into you as well, not just your life story. We also talked about your experiences abroad and stuff. And so we've actually learned quite a lot about you. But what I'm curious about is, this is sort of starting to wrap up, but you've done I'm guessing, since you're an academic, but also, an artist, what's the craziest job you've had to pay the bills? You kind of mentioned the salesman job.
Oh yeah.
So
and, that would be probably. So I did this, and I also did some telemarketing.
Oh, please tell me about the telemarketing. Go on.
Oh, so
like, these are traditional actor jobs. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, okay. So the really worst thing was that I was kind of trying to sell I was working for some kind of phone company.
Yeah.
So we were just selling it, just calling random people, and they're trying them to change their operator to the one that we're calling from. And it's just it's you were talking about stationary phones, right? So most of the people that you call are some old ladies or some old guys, because now when we have mobile phones
and stuff.
Yeah, so everyone is using mobile, so and you call those stationary phones.
So what years was this? What year were you trying to sell stationary phones?
No, that was just the operator, right? I didn't want. Yeah, just they had the phones.
Okay.
Yeah, but that would be nice, right? That in 2000s, and you're selling those new stationary phones, just when everyone has a mobile. Yeah. So I was just trying to convince them to change the operator to the one I was calling from.
Right. Okay.
And they would make us use different tactics, and basically how to deceive those old people.
Yeah, that's the part of capitalism that makes you go, okay, guys, we need to calm down a little bit.
Yeah. And I was there for, let's say, a few days. That's how long I could manage that. And I think I was just like, oh, I'm done when they the kind of a team leader, because they have this name of team leader. So when the team leader said, so one of the I think the guys was like, oh, but should I lie to them? Why I'm deceiving those people? Why should I do this? It's not right. And the team leader was like, in this building, you leave your conscience outside the door. And I was like, okay.
Wow. Okay. So this was
Wolf
of Wall Street of telemarketing. This is like, okay. Wow. It's never a good start to a shift when the guy's like, okay, guys, no phones, no conscience, let's go.
Yeah, that was it. And it's, and this is not with Wolf of Wall Street. You can at least think, okay, they're making big money, so that's you're just you just have a price of your conscience. So what's the price? If the price is
this is Eastern Europe, we gotta sell it for cheap.
If this is, you make few Polish zloty an hour, and that's it, and that's how then you have to maybe think it through. And of course, there were only students there, and people with no conscience. Basically, there was some but the saddest thing, I think, is that when you see people in their 40s and in their 50s doing telemarketing. It's just, you just look at that and
If
just
they
say,
genuinely like it, you know, I don't want to look down on anyone.
of course,
I
of
respect.
course, if they,
But if you
that's-
hate
that's
it and you're
true.
still stuck in it, then you know,
yeah, you're just like, oh, maybe that's.
you made some
But
bad choices.
it's true, and I didn't mean it like this because, but there was this guy. So that was my impression. There was this guy who was still like, you know, in this corporate world, and he was doing it for I don't know how many years. And the problem for this, so I meant it sad in a different way, because then you're in your 50s and everyone else is like in college or in high school, and they call you, but you know, they do not call you sir, because that's not the culture of the corporate.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you're one of the guys, one of the dudes with all those.
He was the Juice Master General. That's what he was.
Juice Master General, and they could be your grandkids.
Yeah.
So that was the what I meant when it's kind of
Fair enough.
You know.
The other question, so the closing question I normally ask people is, obviously you still live in Poland, so you know a lot of Polish food. What's the Polish dish that people in the UK should know about?
Polish dish? Oh.
You're allowed more than one, but keep in mind we got 3 minutes and something. So.
Sure, yeah, but that's a. So the problem is, so I don't think that in my family we had like a really traditional Polish food.
Listen, it's yours. You whatever. Like I had someone say it was
and
the
also
pizza.
So okay, and but you know, I'm also like torn because I'm a vegetarian.
So
I cannot. So you know, I cannot promote any kielbasa or whatever.
Eastern Europe is not big on veggies.
And there's not, but so instead of promoting kielbasa and all Polish dishes,
you can promote the vegetarian Polish dish. I don't care.
Oh, so the vegetarian Polish dish would be probably pierogis.
Okay.
That's you know,
we respect a good pierogi in this podcast.
Yeah, but you have to do also. So one version is that it was always called in Polish Russian pierogi. But because of the recent events, there was rebranded to Ukrainian.
Ukrainian pierogi.
Yeah,
okay.
and actually in restaurants. So you go to Polish restaurants and you have the Russian crossed out and the Ukrainian.
At least reprint the menus, guys. Reprint the menu.
Yeah, so okay. Ukrainian pierogies. That's the Polish dish.
Right, Ukrainian pierogies. That's Polish. What's in this dish? Describe it to me.
Oh, you just freedom? Have to. Yeah, exactly. You have your usual pierogies, and it's kind of like a potato mashed thing in the pierogi. I'm not very good at describing dishes and food. I can tell you that one fun fact about food is in Poland, in that Warsaw is apparently a vegan paradise. So if you have any vegans in your audience, just tell them, I'm telling them to go to Warsaw and check out all the places, the vegan places that are there. They're all great and delicious. And some of them,
dishes as roasted pork, or is it actually vegan? Like
no, actually vegan. They are not. Sometimes they're pretending the like you do like soy sausages or soy patties or whatever, soy burgers. Sometimes they do that, but sometimes they're just genuinely vegan. Some of their own recipes and nice ideas.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So check out Warsaw if you're a vegan.
Yeah.
You know what? I might just check it out anyway, because I like to dabble. You know, I like to try different stuff. So fair enough, dude. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your life story. And there's actually a lot of fun in there, man. I learned a lot. I'm kind of fascinated.
Well, me too. Yeah. I was really excited. As you can tell, I was just,
Cool, man. Thanks a lot. All the best. And hopefully we see you in another show sometime in Scotland.
Yeah, I'll be in Glasgow in the autumn.
Cool. Well, in that case, message me when you're here, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.